Sometimes we have to come to an end, even though nothing happened, really.
Good riddance.
So, yeah, so what we're talking about is The Acolyte has just been confirmed that it is not continuing for a season two. And, of course, just like the entire show, all the responses have been very mixed.
I mean, that's
But yeah.
being generous. I mean, now it's just like now I just look at Twitter. It's like everyone who celebrate the show being canceled and stuff are bigots and racist.
Yeah, so I'm not going to deny that, like, the whole discourse has been it has been a little bit interesting in terms of like what people say is bad about the show. Some people actually use the lore reason. Some people legitimately believe it's just because of blacks and women and all this stuff. But
No, sir. Yeah,
which is
sir, which
obviously
is
we
what.
we never really criticized it for any of those reasons.
Yep. To be honest, it's quite fucked because even people I talked to was like, of course the show got canceled. Now the bigots won. I was like, why would you say that? There's a lot of reasons people could dislike the show.
Yeah, that's just the main thing about this whole discourse is that I don't really know um where some of the like I'm not gonna say like I don't get it, like where like the people that are upset that you didn't get a season two, but like if you really think about the numbers, people keep saying, oh, like there's a lot of shows that didn't really have a good first season, but they still got to keep going. But now this day and age, you got to cancel it and all this stuff. But the thing is, like, the examples that people bring up are not recent. Like, there are a lot of shows from like the early 2000s, the 90s, some of them even from talking about the 80s with Star Trek, which is like really absurd because, like, 2024 is not the same at all as any of those years beforehand. Secondly, this is a Disney show. So it has more money that it has to balance with its budget compared to all these shows that you guys are talking about. And
Yeah.
even then, it's like it still didn't
Hey,
live up to the hype.
I mean, hey, if you're handed 180 billion, sorry, 180 million for a show, and it's only like 9 episodes, I don't know, man. I think you have to make it a bang for the first season.
The first which season?
The first season of anything, if you're handed 20 million per episode.
It's probably another Disney show because I don't really think anything outside of it does that high.
Well, to be fair, there's a lot of it. Do you know that Secret Invasion is 202 million for 6 episodes?
Disney.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, but like obviously, like if you compare to let's say some other recent shows, like I don't know, The Boys, Peaky Blinders, Vikings, I guess. I mean, these are recent shows too, but like they clearly don't have this level of budget that they have to manage.
Yeah, I mean, not even Netflix has that much. And Netflix really like to throw money. And to be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah,
if this show is on Netflix, people will be like, yeah, whatever. It's just a average Tuesday for Netflix. Really, they just cancel shows left and right after one season. I mean, to be honest, I quite like a lot of one season shows on Netflix,
yeah,
but it is
yeah.
what it is.
And like I don't know, this whole discourse. I really hate this discourse about like, oh, not the season could prove itself later and all that stuff. A lot of these shows that you're talking about, either one has like less budget to work with, so like if they fuck up, they can at least fix it later because they have the money to do it later. Uh, or the season is actually really good, and you're really underestimating how good that season was. Like I don't know, I recently saw someone. Oh, Breaking Bad season one is not that good. It's like, okay, I guess if you compare it to every other season, then yeah, it's not as good. But like season one of Breaking Bad is still phenomenal TV.
Was like, wait, what is the problem with season one, anyways? I was like, I mean, there's only like one problem I can think of, but it's like that's it.
Yeah, yeah, but like even that, it's like obviously it's like, but like I really don't like this whole discourse about like, oh, who said the first season has to be the best season?
Every
I
show.
don't know, man. It's just
Fun
like
fact: most
a lo-
shows season.
most
Yeah,
shows have the best season of season one. Yeah.
I don't fucking know. How about you just turn on TV? I was like, oh, what's the best show with the best season? Season one, Revenge, Legion.
Daredevil.
Really, I don't know. Is it season one or season three the best one?
It is debatable,
Yeah, Jessica Jones.
but Jessica Jones for sure.
Yeah. Um, what about a lot of cable TV shit?
Uh,
I mean, that, to be honest, the season one is not the best season. It's only applied to sitcoms. I'm sorry.
yeah, and it's like, and the thing is, like, these are not like I know people keep talking about the whole, oh, can we go back to the TV show days, like how it was like not streamlined. You know,
Uh,
I actually don't have a problem with that idea. The problem is like a lot of these shows are just streamlined. They're meant to be stories like broken up into multiple episodes, and then it's like one continuous story. That's just kind of how TV works,
yeah,
especially more nowadays. So it's like I don't know. You can't really do that with the Acolyte.
yeah. I mean,
I mean, you technically could have if you used your other Jedi, put them in their point of view episodes and stuff like that. I mean, you had that idea, but like, it's not like they did that.
yep. I mean, there's a lot of shows that even after it ended, like logically, it's when you look back at it, it's like season one is the best one. Like Peaky Blinders. I'm not really a fan of how they handle stuff after season one. Let's just say, but still, it is what it is.
Yeah. Um, One thing I did want to mention before we talk about what does this mean for Star Wars and the Acolyte in general, is that you know this whole discourse with regards to you know you just like were like you listen to the wokes and all that stuff. The I mean, you even have Elon Musk going like gone woke and got broke. Very funny guy. But regardless, I
I'll,
do feel
I'll,
like yeah. Go ahead.
I'll just say that it's like there's a lot of people in the world. You can't just listen to one side. There's a lot of things you could hear from other sides.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like even myself, it's like I like in all of our breakdowns for the episodes, I have talked about like how there are some critiques that I just don't agree with. I mean, especially like things where it goes after the actors. I think it's really stupid. Um, and especially since like the whole thing with like Amanda Stenberg and everything having to do with that interview that was not even related to the Acolyte, and people keep acting like it was. Um, so yeah, I've criticized those people too. So it's like, but that doesn't mean the show isn't bad, and it's bad for a lot of reasons that have nothing to do with the actors at all.
I
So
mean, you can just list some reasons why the show is bad.
mhm.
The writing. Okay, what the fuck do we know about May?
What are we gonna know now? And that's kind of what I do want to talk about. Is like now that this season is canceled, there is like a lot of mystery boxes for sure. Like yeah,
Okay.
it's good that it canceled, but like at the same time, it's like there are so many unanswered questions, and it just ended. So I can understand that frustration as well.
But to be honest, it's a lot of shows in the 80s, 90s, even 2000s. They just left in a cliffhanger and just left wanting more. It's like a lot of Marvel shows that even get that treatment.
But like with this example, it's like I guess it could have been answered. It's just that they chose not to answer because they hope that there's going to be a season two. But now that there isn't, like, okay, now you have this whole thing like Vernesha's going to talk to Yoda. Guess that's not going anywhere.
Oh,
May
to
and
be
Chimera are going off to be Master and Apprentice. That's not going anywhere. Doc Darth Plagueis is like stalking them. That's not gonna go anywhere.
Oh, I mean, Leslie said that Plagueis is Milo's master.
Yeah. And this is kind of like my other thing too. It's like, oh, Disney is listening to the fans, even if it's the toxic ones or whatever. Even then, it's like let's be completely honest. This does not really prove anything for us in terms of Disney's competence, quote unquote. Because yeah, okay, you listen to this. What are you gonna do next?
They renew Ahsoka, by the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you also have Dave Filoni and John Favreau in charge. Who's to say that they don't decide, you know what? The Acolyte just wasn't clicking because people didn't like our original characters. Maybe we should just make a show centered around Sheev, maybe. And then he'll be our protagonist of the show. We'll focus on young Palpatine. Uh, and because Solo bombed because we had a recast actor, why don't we just de-age Ian McDermott? Because that's what people like. Because
I
people
mean,
really loved de-aged Mark Hamill in Mandalorian, so that clearly is the good thing.
yeah. I mean, do you guys like? By the way, that's the idea in season 2. Yeah, Darth Plagueis is gonna train Palpatine.
Yeah, even though he's not supposed to be born yet, but neither was Mundi. But yeah, that's kind of the problem. It's like this whole thing is like there are so many unopened questions. It's like I guess if you make Palpatine the protagonist of a subsequent sequel, I guess you could do something with that. But like, there's still too many problems to begin with. Secondly,
It's.
um,
I mean, the person in charge is still Leslie Hadley, by the way. It's
yeah,
there.
but like Dave Filoni is still there, so and nostalgia.
Yeah, true. Uh, I mean, it's not like we have a show about original characters mostly, and the main character no one likes in the previous movie. Oh wait, that's Andor, and it's released for season 2.
Yeah. Now, I guess this is another conversation point that people have brought up a few times. You know, before we wrap this up, Andor obviously gets something. It was told beforehand that Andor is getting 2 seasons. Back in that Disney celebration, whereas Acolyte did not have that treatment. It was very clear that Acolyte depended on how do people feel about it in the first season and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like I'm just not a fan of like shows where they clearly are open ending everything for the sake of wanting to go to a season 2 because like I don't know, you feel no finality at that point or like you don't feel like anything ended because there's too many questions that are intentionally going for the next season. And obviously it's a big risk when it gets canceled or not. So I don't know. It's like I feel like they could have I feel like there could have been a better effort in at least controlling Leslie to have there be some kind of conclusion in season 1.
No, do you love the conclusion that Osha kills Soul? Isn't that so in character?
And it's like even if they want to convince me that they got to that point, they really did not put that much effort into like, highlighting too many differences of the personality and when the switch happens and how it's conveyed on screen. So it really doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean that was so fun, right? I just watched 9 episodes. I mean, is it 8 or 9?
It
8. Shit. Oh, okay. So that's even worse than 20. That's even more than 20 million per episode. Then. Okay. It's like I watched 8 episodes and I got the most unsatisfying answers in the world. And do not tell me that even that because the setup is fucked, there couldn't be some sort of satisfying answer at the end. There are shows that did that. And I'm serious, even Despicable Me 4 did that. I suffered through 85 minutes of shit in the beginning, and at the last 5 minute mark, I was like, oh my god, that's actually pretty good for some reason. I'm not kidding. That's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel about it. Or the
Honestly,
Hobbit movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
and honestly, like I have seen people say, "Oh, now Skeleton Crew is going to get through, is going to suffer through like people hating on it before it even comes out." Honestly, let's be honest. I don't think that's going to happen because one, there isn't that many woke talking points. If we're going to use that logic,
Uh,
I mean,
Yeah,
yes,
people.
there's kids in the show, but like that's not really something that people bring up, so that doesn't really work. And
Yeah,
secondly, Skeleton Crew doesn't feel like, it doesn't look like it's like, attaching itself to the Skywalker saga in some capacity. And now people say, "Oh, the Acolyte didn't do that. It was like 80 years in the past." When you put Dark Plagueis and put Ki-Adi-Mundi and then you put Yoda, you are attaching it to the Skywalker saga in some capacity. It doesn't matter if it was 80 years before the Phantom Menace. It is still
yeah,
connected, so that doesn't fucking matter.
yep. And pretty much that's the problem. And now, by the way, if you remember what I said, if the show got cancelled, basically what Vernestra said to Yoda, according to the storytelling, according to how storytelling works, basically she just admit everything to Yoda because she needs his help.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then it brings up all those issues about the discussion about the Sith. And honestly, and this is something that we kind of argued about, not argued, but like, the possibilities that if there is a season two, she could possibly lie to Yoda, which would be stupid, but like it's possible, or she tells him the full truth. And since there is no season two, I have to assume now that like she has to tell him the whole truth. And now that that happens, now there's so many problems leading into the Phantom Menace with how everything works with Chimera and all that stuff. So
Yep. Yeah, I just want to say I hear people just on the side just like who just hate the cancellations. Like, oh, those people because the show has Asians, black people, queer people. So that's why people hate it. It was like, motherfucker, we seen Andor. We love that. And that show stars a few Latinos, a few women, and there's two lesbians. And there's also a few black people. And we didn't hate that. We love that show. Like literally, people are still talking about Andor. It outlasts Obi-Wan Kenobi. It outlasts Ahsoka. It outlasts the Book of Boba Fett. It outlasts the Mandalorian, and of course, it
the one thing,
outlasts
yeah,
the
go ahead.
Acolyte.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My big thing about Andor is like I really hope it doesn't suffer the talking points of like the like we talked about this in our last podcast the other day about like how now everything with animation kind of gets compared to Into the Spider Verse, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, Arcane, and all this stuff. So I really hope like Andor doesn't become that show. It's like, oh, this is the standard, and like there's no other way to do it. For some people who talk about it like that. So I mean, that's kind of what I'm hoping, that this isn't the case. I
Yeah,
know I've been super positive on Skeleton Crew and it hasn't come out yet, but like at least it feels like they're doing something different, which is kind of refreshing at this point. Because like we're not doing something related to what seems to be the Skywalker saga at this point. So I welcome that, or at least I welcome the attempt. We'll have to wait and see in December.
and I welcome the fact that the Acolyte got cancelled. I'm happy. Don't worry about it. I'm definitely not supporting any side of, oh, it's bad because minorities or you it's and I hate that the minorities hate it. Some shit. I was like, no, I just glad that it's canceled because it's a bad show.
Yeah, and honestly, like I've also seen people say, "Oh, it's like you got to think about the actors, the people who cared about this project and all that stuff." Let's be honest. Like, I mean, Michael Keaton talked about it the other day. It's like for about Batgirl the other day, with it being canceled, didn't really care. He got his money. It didn't happen. Got to keep going.
Yeah, that's basically actors and crewmates. You basically worked
And
and
they got
worked
paid, and they did their stuff.
and
Didn't
they
get to
find
continue,
and
and
they
they find
find
new opportunities.
yeah, they find new crews. I'm sorry, dude. If you know filmmaking or the film industry, they hire different runners, different production assistant, different cameramen sometimes. That sometimes it's different people to make the sets, different costume designers, and different like translators. It's like I'm sorry. Do you know cruise? Do you know that you can a lot can change between seasons?
Yeah, yeah, and like, come on, these a lot of these main actors are like doing other stuff. They're fine,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
some of them are dead in universe, so they can't come back anyway. So
I mean, I will still watch Squid Game season 2 because the sole actor is really good and he's clearly having more jobs. He's
yeah,
fine. Don't worry about it.
yeah, because like I remember Grace Randolph bringing that up. It's like I can't believe like we're letting the show get this review bomb. This Korean actor doing his first English role, and this is how he's being treated. He's fine.
He's
He's literally
fine.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, even Amanda Sandberg, even though the show did her no favor, I was like, do you think that do you think that she'll get no job? She has several blockbusters on hand.
Yeah, and she's set to work. Everybody knows. Um, yeah, they'll be
Um,
fine.
and, and Daphne Keane, what's like, dude, what the fuck is Daphne? It's Daphne Keane. Do you think she will not be able to find anything?
Yeah, and her character's dead anyway. So yeah, so yeah. Last second thoughts. My biggest problem is that I there are a lot of unopened ended questions that I do agree with that now those don't get answered at all. Now the problem is like I don't know if Disney's going to do the whole let's continue a soft sequel of the Acolyte, but with Palpatine as the protagonist, so that we can close those holes. But yeah, I don't know because of Filoni, anything is possible.
Uh, yeah, I mean, don't let Filoni touch it. Just find someone competent like Tony Gilroy who made Andor.
Yeah, but I don't think he should touch anything with Palpatine.
No, really, it's like now.
Honestly, I don't think he should touch anything with Jedi, Sith.
Yep. To be honest, it's kind of weird now. It's like because he's really good at grounded stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean they probably just gotta find someone who is really good at handling Jedi and Sith to deal with those.
Yeah, yeah. That's mainly my issue. But outside of that, it's like yeah, it's honestly it makes sense canceling it. I do think like the whole discourse on you gotta try giving it an extra season. I don't know when the numbers are bad and the money's too high.
I don't know.
I don't.
Yeah,
It doesn't really help you.
but I mean, yeah, I mean this one season of Acolyte can make the entire Breaking Bad show. I'm serious. One episode of Breaking Bad is 3 million.
Yeah, that was that was a crazy stat I read.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's your last second thoughts?
Um, it's something unpredictable. In the end, it's right. I'm so glad the Acolyte got cancelled.
I will say though, one last thing because like we just saw a a word from Tamura Morrison about Boba Fett and how he already knew that they kind of quietly canceled Boba Fett, which is kind of crazy. You feel like oh you want to publicly announce Acolyte's been canceled, but Boba Fett doesn't. I guess to be fair with Boba Fett, it doesn't really force a sequel bait in it. I don't. Then again, I don't really remember how it ended.
No, it's just Mando and Grogu fly into space.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with Boba Fett, and that's kind of why it was forgettable because the show had nothing to do with him. But yeah, yeah, I do feel really bad for Timur Morrison though, because like he clearly cared about the character. He's clearly said a lot of disdain for what Disney has done with the character and all this stuff.
Yeah,
And you feel that in all of his interviews when he talks about it.
yeah. But he's basically the biggest critic of his own show. He's not even shy about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate, but
Yeah, I
um,
mean, I hope
it,
someone better can handle his character. If they were like, oh, fine, I'm gonna do a Boba Fett show again, but now I'm just gonna hire like the guy who make Breaking Bad. Who's he called again?
Vince Gilligan.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, I'm gonna write the Breaking Bad, Breaking
Boba Fett show.
Breaking Fat show.
Breaking Fett.
I was like, yeah, and I'm sure
Yeah,
I was
I
gonna
will say
say,
like Boba Fett is like assassinated, quote unquote, but he's not like egregiously assassinated in that sense. Like I feel like you could do more stories with him, and he could be fine. Like he's not irredeemable, I would say. So like if somebody were to pick him up down the line and like do him proper again, I guess the big thing will be, oh, he was like a really nice guy, and then now he's mean again. Okay, I guess I'll just accept it.
yeah, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, goodbye to the acolyte.
Goodbye. You won't be missed. And I hope Leslie Headlands go to jail really. Bye.
Yeah.